set it up.
Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. Welcome to another Sabbath lesson. I pray that you are getting all the rest and refreshing that you need. I'm not going to delay the time, get right into the lesson that I want to share with you today about this word. In the lesson today is a pickup of last week where we were discussing the book of Enoch. And I'm going into this because a lot of clarity is being given in the spirit to a lot of people about this, what we call the Sepharim, the Bible, and the compilation of these books and how the various councils put a lot of these things together. We're starting to find out through history and various information that the books were of the New Testament were actually written in the 2nd century and not actually by those apostles who passed away in the 1st century. It was based upon oral history that was passed down, people's different accounts of the events, and then of course the Roman Catholic Church intentionally sought to make our book their book by even changing the names of the characters within the book to English, Latin, Roman names. So we're finding out that the emphasis was more so on what we would refer to as the Old Testament, which were the scrolls and that were written of the scribes. What is actually known as the scriptures was the book of the Torah and the books of the Tanakh and the books of the Apocrypha that they removed because it held too much information. So I don't want to go into a long diatribe about that. Hopefully you listened last week. The lesson today is actually going to be on alms giving in the last days. And but I just want to kind of go back to the fact that you'll see that the New Testament is really epistles, which you would call letters of encouragement one to another and to the various assemblies and congregations that were scattered throughout, where they would go house to house, breaking bread and sharing the word, and sometimes teaching on the streets, the utterances and the teachings of our Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach. That's what they would do. Yahushua made it clear that you need not that anyone else teach you. He's our master. He's our teacher. He's our Adon, our Adonai. He is our teacher. He came teaching. And he teaches that he hears from up above. And the Holy Spirit brings to remembrance all those things that are in his word, his teachings, the law, Torah. It's written in our hearts once we assimilate and become converted. It's through the process of conversion that we hear these teachings. So when you hear other people like Paul, who was only considered an apostle by the church of Thessalonica, say that this is not inspired by God, but these are my words, and you teach those things. Those things are heretical. That has nothing to do with our Messiah. Our job was to teach Torah and to teach his sayings, what he preached, what he taught, and how he lived. The fact that he kept the law and he kept the holy days. And happy Yom Teruah to a lot of people who are celebrating, and it's coming up for a lot of people. It's coming up for myself as well. But how he kept the holy days in the word that we have passed on to us. So what I want to do is give you some examples of how you see certain books from the so-called New Testament actually being based off of the book of Enoch. Everyone knows who Enoch is, and the book that people try to dismiss when it's so relevant to this generation. As a matter of fact, the first chapter says this is for a remote generation, so that we would have information, knowledge, and understanding of demonic activity, its source, and where it comes from, and how the angels are fallen, and how there was a third of the angels that fell, and then there were the watchers that fell. The third of the angels, it could be over 33, 3 million to 33 million are. But the watchers, we know there were about 200 watchers, but these entities slept with women, the daughters of men, and created Nephilim, giants whose spirits had nowhere to go and became demons. So we find this out. Enoch had gone back and forth to heaven on a number of occasions, and upon returning one of his last times, he left books for his sons. He wrote for Methuselah. We'll read the book he left for Methuselah. He left over 200 and something books. And we talked about last week how the Most High was going to hide these books, like he told Daniel to hide the books until the end. Well, these books are resurrecting and coming back. And he mentioned that. We talked about that last week, how it was mentioned in the fragments in Enoch 103 and 104, how he was going to preserve the books through time and bless those people in the end times to be able to read these books and understand. Because now we're starting to find out that the scriptures that we have had for the last few years, centuries, has leaven. A lot of leaven has been inseminated into the scriptures. And so it really takes the Ruach to give you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of this word. But let me get into a few examples and then we can get into our lesson. For instance, Enoch, the 3rd chapter, verses 1 through 3, that says, all who are in the heavens know what is transacted there. They know that the heavenly luminaries change not their paths, that each rises and sets regularly, everyone at its proper period, without transgressing the commands which they have received. They behold the earth and understand what is there transacted from the beginning to the end of it. They see that every work of Yah is invariable in the period of its appearance. And you see this in Romans 1 and 20, where Paul, who was very learned, was just repeating what he had read there in Enoch. Romans 1 and 20 said, for the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse. Let me give you another one. The book of Enoch 9 through 12. Thus has the whole earth been filled with blood and with iniquity. And now behold the souls of those who are dead. They cry out and complain, even to the gate of heaven. Their groaning ascends, nor can they escape from the unrighteousness which is committed on earth. You know all things before they exist. We see this in Isaiah 26 and 21. For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood and shall no more cover her slain. Also, we see this in Revelation 6, 9 through 10. When he had opened the 5th seal, I saw under the altar the souls of them that were slain for the word of Yah and for his testimony which they held. And they cried with a loud voice. So we have confirmation of the scriptures that were originally written, first of all, in the book of Enoch. There are other witnesses to that particular verse in Exodus 2 and 24, Joel 1 and 18, John 11, 33, Romans 8 and 21. Give me 1 second. I'm just reading something. There's a note here. Okay, so I just want to give an example of that. Now I'm going to read this last book of Enoch, which is an appendix to the book of Enoch, and then we'll get into the lesson. So Enoch 108, an appendix to the book of Enoch. Another book which Enoch wrote for his son Methuselah, and for those who will come after him and keep the law in the last days. The book of Enoch ends the way it starts. He's letting you know that this book is for those in the last days. It just really burdens my heart that many camps and so-called elders and leaders are telling people this is a fantasy book, it's a myth. Don't read it because it compromises and challenges their doctrine that they want to teach to their people. And this book is so key and so telling and so for us right now, because we have to look aside from Paul's writings. They're nice, but he's not an apostle. There's no 13 apostles. And if he's an apostle to the Gentiles, then he had nothing to say to Yasharal. None of his writings were for us if he was sent to the Gentiles. We were taught we were Gentiles when we were in the bondage of Christianity, and we're not under the bondage of Christianity. We know who we are, and we're equal brothers in this walk. Paul is the one that taught payments. Ox is worthy of its hire. Paul taught different levels of promotion in this Christianity. And if you're this, you're above, and this is the top office. And he wasn't any of those things. You have to realize that the 12 were anointed and ordained, but outside of the 12, Christ blew on 70 other men and told them to go 2 by 2 out and teach. And they came back saying that even the demons are subject to us, and we saw the power flow through us. There were 70 others. So you have many, and this is the way that Christ also said, make sure that no man deceives you, because there's a lot of deception out there and people that preach a different doctrine than our Messiah and our brother Yahushua HaMashiach. And we have to be cautious of that, even more so, especially in this day and hour we're in. So that's the importance of Enoch writing this book for us in this last generation. So we would be able to spot a demon or someone with an antichrist spirit who's promoting only themselves. And now it's being disguised under the auspices of content creator, subscribe, hit the like button and the notify button. And here's my PayPal and my Cash App. Do you know that in the Didache, which is where Christ, our Messiah, Yahushua, taught the apostles in the Didache? Look it up. It was found along with the Qumran, in the Qumran caves, along with the fragments of Enoch and other books. But he said that a false prophet, one who collects money for the teachings of the Most High. You're not supposed to charge for this word. So we got a lot of false prophets out here that are making merchandise of our people and charging for the word, which is freely ye have received, freely you're supposed to give. This is not about capitalization. Why do you think our Messiah beat the money changers inside the temple that were in there selling their books, their tapes? Actually, what they were selling were animals to go and sacrifice, and he was against the sacrifice because he was coming to get rid of sacrificial law. He knew what his job and assignment was, and he was beating the people that were exchanging money in the temples for people to pre-purchase a means of making excuses and sacrificing for their sins. That's premeditated sinning. Buy this because you know you're going to be in fornication tonight. So I'll just keep these 2 turtle doves close by. So after I get through with this adultery and fornication, I can just kill these 2 turtle doves and it'll be well with me. Now you see why our Messiah was so upset. He scourged the people with ropes and beat them out. That's premeditative sinning. And a lot of people are still doing that now under the auspices of grace, mercy, and Christianity and Sunday service. And that time is out for that. You'll be destroyed without a remedy playing around out here now, which is why there's all kind of venereal diseases, terrible cancers, sicknesses, various things happening to people because sin is running rampant and people have no self-control because they have not the Ruach or the Holy Spirit. So the point I was making is that we should not be charging. Let me finish reading the book of Enoch 108 for this remote generation, this last chapter. He said, this is for them that keep the law in the last days. So also, hey, listen, if you're not keeping the law, this is not even applicable to you. And I hate that so many people are not putting emphasis on keeping the law. Most of y'all turning on YouTube and you find other people fighting against other people or having a problem or there being some issue. We're just watching, a lot of talk about entertainment, what's going to happen, gossip, issues, what they used to do. There's no more word. And then tie that in with the algorithm. All algorithms and the screening and the blocking that's going on, now you understand the scripture when they said in the last days there'll be a famine for the word of Yah. You won't hardly be able to find it. A lot of the stuff you're listening to is not the word of Yah. It's not crucifying and chastising the heart. It's not a two-edged sword. It's not cutting and piercing asunder. It's not making you want to change. It's a feel-good message. And then you want to participate in the feel-good message. So you think you're supposed to sow a seed because you learned that from Christianity. We'll talk about alms in a second. For you who keep the law in the last days, ye who have done good shall wait for those days till an end is made of those who work evil, and an end of the might of the transgressors. Prognosticating that the people will be mighty in the end times, these transgressors. They look like they're blessed. And wait ye indeed till sin has passed away. It's talking to us who keep the law, who are enduring. Just be patient. For their names shall be blotted out of the book of life. So let me pause. I have to pause so you see this, because you have to read it with the understanding. If he's saying for us to be patient and not trip on those who look like they're blessed and bragging that they're blessed, he said their names shall be blotted out of the book of life. That means that the ones that are going to look like they're blessed and they're really in evil were once in the book of life but chose another path. I'm not going to call names, but there's just people's names just popping up in my head and flashing before my face. That this is talking about Israelites, saints, who took a wrong path and were deceived and are transgressors. And what do? Go back to the second verse. Till an end is made of those who work evil, and an end of the might of the transgressors. They look strong right now. They got big works that they're putting in front of your face, telling you how many subscribers they have, or the land that they have, or the shows that they have, or the influence that they have. Yeah, but they're not keeping the word of Yah. They won't even read this book of Enoch. I'm not calling no names. Let's finish the third verse. Blotted out of the book of life and out of the holy books. Out of the holy books. There are other holy books. And their seed, these people, shall be destroyed forever. And their spirits shall be slain. And they shall cry and make lamentation in a place that is chaotic wilderness. And in the fire they shall burn, for there is no earth there. And I saw there something like an invisible cloud, for by reason of its depth I could not look over, and I saw a flame of fire blazing brightly, and things like shining mountains circling and sweeping to and fro. And I asked one of the holy angels who was with me and said unto him, what is this shining thing? For it is not a heaven, but only the flame of a blazing fire, and the voice of weeping and crying and lamentation and strong pain. And he said unto me, this place which thou seest, here are cast the spirits of sinners. What is a sinner? Let's remember, one who breaks the Most High's laws. Sin is transgression of the law. So sinners indicates that these are people who knew about the law, but they were breaking the law. That's at Matthew 7:21-23. Depart from me, because I never knew you, you workers of iniquity. 1 John 3:4 tells you that sin is transgression of the law. So these people that are in this torment, in this fire, are people that knew about the law and were breaking the law, because no one will stand before the Most High and say, I never heard the law. You know about the 10 Commandments, because your morality knocks at your heart every time you commit a sin. You know, it takes a lot of people don't have the ability to murder somebody because their conscience screams loud. It's a killer that becomes numb to the conscience that says, don't do this. And that's why you'll hear people say to somebody with a gun, it's not in you. You don't have it in you. You can't do it, because the morality screams out loud. And it has to be pushed past in order to commit such an egregious sin. So there's sinners, blasphemers there, and of those who work wickedness, and of those who pervert everything The Most High has spoken through the mouth of the prophets, even the things that shall be. There's people burning in the fire who are misquoting what this word says and trying to preach another word out of the word and twisting the words of the prophets into not. And that's what's happened, even with your compilation of your New Testament, and even with these people that call themselves prophets today. I would not even want that office. Do you know there is a higher degree of chastisement waiting for false prophets and false teachers? You have to give double account of the things that you have said. That's why you know these people are chasing fame, chasing clout, not understanding that there's a judgment. These people that are being described in the last chapter of the book of Enoch are people who are playing around with the house of Yasharal. For some of them are written and inscribed above in the heaven, in order that the angels may read them and know that which shall befall the sinners and the spirits of the humble, and of those who have afflicted their bodies and been recompensed by Yah, and of those who have been put to shame by wicked men. We have atonement coming up where we're going to afflict our bodies. Fasting is afflicting your body. Enduring temptation, turning your back on evil, turning your back from sin, that's afflicting your body. Saying, I'll go through it, talk about me, judge me, do whatever you want to do with me. I don't care. I'm standing for Yah. For Yah, I'll live, and for Yah, I'll die. 8th verse. Who love Yah and loved neither gold nor silver? We don't love that money. We don't brag about the gold and silver we have. We don't even want it or need it because we know he'll provide. Nor of any of the good things which are in the world, but gave, and this is perfect going into my lesson about alms. These are the people that are the humble and the meek that will inherit the earth, but gave over their bodies to torture, who since they came into being longed not after earthly food. You have to be moderate. I'm noticing a trend where a lot of people are going to eating one meal a day. People are learning about meat and how dangerous meat is. I just seen a scripture, let me pull that up, in Ecclesiasticus about too much meat. Ecclesiasticus 37:29. Be not unstable in any dainty thing, nor too greedy upon meats. For excess of meats brings sickness and surfeiting, and it will turn into choler. By surfeiting have many perished, but he that taketh heed will prolong his life. So it is a fact that eating too much meat, consuming too much meat can shorten your life. Let me finish reading about the humble of heart, verse 9, who since they came into being longed not after earthly food, but regarded everything as a passing breath, and lived accordingly. And Yahuwah tried them much, and their spirits were found pure, so that they should bless his name. Let me let you see something right there. It said right there, Yahuwah tried them much. Every time you were tempted, that trial you went through, it was sent your way. And it was for a purpose. You were wondering why he or she or the money or the food kept coming at you. You have to be tried in the fire. And many of you can't stand. You don't have the testicular fortitude to be able to stand and resist the enemy. Some of you don't have the ability to be like Joseph, who ran from Potiphar's wife, a married woman in Egypt, wanted to commit adultery with a man her husband brought in. And Joseph literally had to run from her. She grabbed his clothes so tight he ran out of his clothes. She ripped them off of him. She had an insatiable demon on her. But he ran from lust. Do you know that Joseph had failed? Israel wouldn't have made it to Egypt and survived the famine? Oh, that's deep. Do you know how much hangs in the balance of you resisting temptation? You might just be on the brink of a blessing. I should preach this message all the time. Daniel, the 10th chapter, about how Daniel went on a 21-day fast and prayed. He didn't get the answer until the last day, but the answer was heard the first day. And the angel had to call for Michael to get the answer through the demon that was the principality over that city. He couldn't fight that demon on his own and get through. He needed help. Michael came and helped him to overtake the demon so that he can get the answer to Daniel on the last day. I tell people all the time, many of y'all already gave up on day 20, not knowing that answer was coming on day 21. Do you know how much hangs in the balance of you potentially sinning and overcoming temptation? You might be messing up something major, a breakthrough for your children, your son, future. You never know what hangs in the balance. You don't even know who you are in the kingdom yet. You got people, prognosticators and false prophets telling you who you are, but you have no idea of what role you may play in New Jerusalem, in the kingdom, if you're one of the 144, if you're going to be one of the governors. Just don't know. It said, Yahuwah tried them much, and their spirits were found to be pure. He said, look, they got a pure spirit, like Job. They didn't give in, so that they should bless his name. And what did Job do? He said, I will bless him at all times. Job said, the Lord giveth, the Lord taketh, blessed be the name of the Lord. That's what Job said. Verse 10, and all the blessings destined for them, I have, listen, overcoming temptation. Then verse 10 says, and all the blessings that are destined for them, I have recounted in the books. It's written in the books that you will overcome. And he hath assigned them their recompense. He knows what he's going to give you, because they have been found to be such as loved heaven more than their life in the world. And though they were trodden down underfoot of wicked men and experienced abuse and reviling from them and were put to shame, yet they blessed me, even when your family turned their back on you. And now I will summon the spirits of the good who belong to the generation of light, and I will transform those who were born in darkness, who in the flesh were not recompensed with such honor as their faithfulness deserved. And I will bring forth in shining light those who have loved my holy name, and I will seat each on the throne of his honor. That's what's coming our way. You have to endure through all of this. And they shall be resplendent for times without number, for righteousness is the judgment of Yah. For to the faithful he will give faithfulness, not those who have faith, to those who are faithful to their callings, their teaching, preaching, singing, doing the work, and what we're about to get into. He will give faithfulness in the habitation of upright paths, and they shall see those who were born in darkness led into darkness, while the righteous shall be resplendent. And the sinners shall cry aloud and see them. The ones who messed up, who are gloating in your face right now, they got their kingdom in this world right now on earth. They're going to see you in your shine while they're in that ball of fire being persecuted. The sinners shall cry out loud and see them resplendent, and they indeed will go where days and seasons are prescribed for them. That was in Enoch 108. Whoa, hallelujah. We're going to go to the book of Tobit, talk about Alms. Chapter 4. My son, verse 5. Chapter 4, verse 5, we start there. It said, my son, be mindful of Eluah, our Yahuwah, all the days, and let not thy will be set to sin. Don't even think about that. Or to transgress his commandments. Let that not even be in your will, to want to break these commandments and go sinning. Y'all got to find contentment and being at peace, at rest, and get those spirits and demons off you. Do uprightly all thy life long, and follow not the ways of unrighteousness. Don't do like what you're looking at on TV and in these movies and all the stuff that's having an influence on you, coming to your dreams at night and stirring up your old lusts. You're supposed to be different. That's the only thing I can say I like about that song that rapper has, Kendrick Lamar. They not like us. That could be taken in many ways for us who are in the truth. Know that those who are in sin are not like us who keep the laws and do not sin. We're set apart people with Kodesh. Verse 6 says, for if thou deal truly, thy doings shall prosperously succeed to thee and to all them that live justly. If you just stay away from sin and keep the commandments, you will prosper. Even though you don't even want these earthly things, he's going to take care of you and supply all your needs according to your riches and glory. If it's a home you need, if it's transportation you need, if it's food you need, the Most High is going to supply your needs in this earth. But you don't seek those things to the degree where you're trying to amass a bunch of different things. There's one so-called preacher pastor right now who I think of who has his people giving him gold and silver and their checks so he can buy land and say, I got all this land, and put it all in his name and not even sharing with the people, although he came with the Acts 2 paradigm saying we're supposed to all have things in common, and you turn yours into the pot so we can all have. And that's not what's happening. And the people are so blinded that they can't see it. That's not what the Most High wanted. So you best believe there's no need for that person to be in the wilderness or New Jerusalem, because they're having their kingdom on earth right now. You know, collecting wives, collecting money, collecting food and livestock, and collecting people's money. That is even taking away from a man being able to save his own money to give to his children, because he's giving it to another person. So he has nothing to give his son or his son's sons. There's nothing. And that's against the word. That's not what the Most High ordained. Verse 7. Here we go. Give alms of thy substance. Give alms of thy substance. And when thou givest alms, let not thine eye be envious, neither turn thy face from any poor. You know you done it. Walk by the guy sitting on the curb with his hands up. I got news for you. Could have been an angel. Turn not your face from that poor man, and the face of Yah shall not be turned away from thee. Every time you see it, it's not meant for you to judge the situation and say he's just going to use it for drugs, he's going to use it for alcohol. It's not your turn to become judge and jury. There are strict instructions here. Don't turn your face. Verse 8. If thou hast abundance, give alms accordingly. This is our principle here. It's not what Christianity taught you about give your tithes and then give the offering and make that pastor rich and put him in a big house. It's not that. No, it's not that. Tithes were for the Levitical priesthood, who was not given a lot of land that would be theirs. Their job was to take care of the temple and take care of praying for us and the spiritual things. And so we made sure they had food and whatever they needed as they tended to the spirituality of the tribes and the custom and what we had. So, but he always says for us to be charitable and to give, and we'll get more into why he said that when we go to Matthew's. Let me finish reading this. If thou hast abundance, give alms accordingly. If thou have but a little, be not afraid to give according to that little. For thou layest up a good treasure for thyself against the day of necessity. This is why I'm calling it end time giving, because if you really need to be giving at any time, it's right now while you're enduring, because you're laying up treasures. Everybody's trying to get you to make earthly investments right now when the stock market is going to implode. And financial currency is going to explode because they want one world currency and they want to get rid of dollars everywhere and they want to go into a crypto system. I hope that didn't strike that algorithm. But nevertheless, you're laying up riches for yourself and abundance for yourself to where you will be just like Elijah in the wilderness where the Most High sent birds to bring him food where he was. The problem is a lot of us are not faithful. That's why we have no faith, because we're not faithful to Yah. And we don't know him or believe in him to take care of us and sustain us. I'm sorry, I might have an advantage over you because I know I've seen him supply when I don't know where it came from, how he got there, made calls, and they don't know where it came from either. But that's the level of my faith because of what I've seen him do. And a lot of people don't believe he'll do that. And the reason he has not done it for a lot of you is what I just said. You have not been faithful unto him or unto your call. For thou layest up a good treasure for thyself against the day of necessity. So he's saying when you are taking care of the poor, when recession hits and food prices go up, he's going to make sure you all right. Because that, verse 10, because that alms, oh my God, listen to this. This is the book of Tobit, and this was before Matthew's. And this goes back with Torah and Tanakh. That's why I tell you about these epistles where they were just quoting. Remember, I said nobody in the Bible had a Bible. The people went to the synagogue on the Sabbath to hear the reading of these various books, holy books. It was the Romans who came together and said, let's compile some books, change some words, create our own book, that it becomes the foundation of what we're trying to do with starting religions in our Christianity and our Catholicism. And let's take away these people and make it us. Matter of fact, in Maccabees, let's whitewash all the images, the faces, let's change it all. And then let's synthesize this in during Constantine's time with paganism and witchcraft. And then let's inseminate things like Easter in there so we can just change the whole thing. Let's just change it all. Side note. So this book of Tobit, listen to this. Because this is so powerful, I had to pause. This is powerful. This is really a necessity, people. Tobit 4:10 says, because that alms do deliver from death. And suffer not to come into darkness. Are you giving, people? Are you blessing people? Your life is not of like any use to the kingdom if you're not a giver. You got to remember, we're talking about a God, Abba Yah, who gave his only son, his last, a life, and then a son who's given his life for you. And you can't give $1 to someone who's in need. Make sure that everyone in your sphere, your circle is okay. I continue. I digress. Verse 11. For alms is a good gift unto all that give it in the sight of the Most High. Don't have to be in a church. Don't have to be a big charitable organization where you stand up and let everybody see what you're doing. Matthew's the 6th chapter tells you clearly, do it in secret. And then Psalms 91 tells you clearly, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High, a private thing. I had to tell somebody who was bragging on a social media account, they were like, I just finished a 3-day fast. I was like, you just got your reward. I hope you enjoy it. Matthew 6. When you fast and pray, do it in private and secret. Wash your face so that nobody even knows you're fasting. It's between you and the Most High. He said, when you do it in secret, I'll reward you openly. For alms is a good gift unto all that give it in the sight of the Most High. Verse 12. And beware of all whoredom, my son, and chiefly take a wife of the seed of thy fathers, and take not a strange woman to wife, which is not of thy father's tribe, for we are the children of the prophets. Noah, Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, remember my son, that our fathers from the beginning, even that they all married wives of their own kindred and were blessed in their children, and their seed shall inherit the land. And I liken that also, which I wish I had told one of my other children, I liken that also to marrying someone who's of your tribe, meaning they must obey the same laws and spiritual principles that you obey. It was Solomon and Samson that got into trouble, marrying one outside the tribe who did not believe in Yah or worship that God, and drew them into what they worship and their gods, and brought demons into their life. So when he's saying of your tribe, that is of your belief system, of your people. Parents wouldn't found the wives for their sons. There's too many seducers out there. I digress. Verse 13. Now therefore, my son, love thy brethren, and despise not in thy heart thy people, in not taking a wife of them. For in pride is destruction, and much trouble, and in lewdness is decay and great want. For lewdness is the mother of famine. Verse 14. Let not the wages of any man which hath wrought for thee tarry with thee, but give him it out of hand. For if thou serve Yah, he will also repay thee. Be circumspect, my son, in all things thou doest, and be wise in all thy conversation. Do that to no man which thou hatest. Drink not wine to make you drunk, neither let drunkenness go with thee in thy journey. Give of thy bread to the hungry, and of thy garments to them that are naked, according to thine abundance. Give alms, and let thine eye be envious let not thine eye be envious when thou givest alms. That means don't judge, don't envy what they have or what they don't have. Just give them when it's in need, based upon what you can do. Pour out thy bread on the burial of the just, but give nothing to the wicked people. That's also in the Wisdom of Solomon. I'll see if I can find it. 19. Bless Yahuwah our Eluah always, and desire of him that thy ways may be directed, and that all thy paths and counsels may prosper. For every nation hath not counsel, but Yahuwah himself giveth all good things, and he humbleth whom he will as he will. Now therefore, my son, remember my commandments, and neither let them be put out of mind. And fear not, my son, that we are made poor, for thou hast much wealth, if you fear Yah, and depart from all sin, and do that which is pleasing in his sight. Instructions to live by. Let me see if I can find this. What I'm looking for before I go to Matthew 25. I don't know if I can find it. I didn't plan on using this one as a precept, but it was just saying about not blessing the wicked and how we're supposed to give to those of our people. I read it before. If you want to look, it's highlighted in yellow. It may be in Ecclesiastes or the Wisdom of Solomon. While you're looking for that, I'm going to go to Matthew 25. Watch this in Matthew 25, as based on what we just read in Tobit, the 4th chapter. It says, this is concern. Listen, what I'm about to read is paraphrased concerning future judgments, and we're in the last days. So this is how the judgment's going to go down. This is what you're mandated to do. Verse 31, when the Son of Man shall come in his glory, and all the holy angels with him, then shall he sit upon the throne of his glory, and before him shall be gathered all nations, and he shall separate them one from another, as a shepherd divideth his sheep from the goats. And he shall set the sheep on the right, but the goats on the left. Then shall the king say unto them on his right hand, Come ye blessed of my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world. For I was hungry, here we go, Tobit, the 4th chapter. For I was hungry and you gave me meat. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. And I was a stranger and you took me in. Let me pause. You understand that he's judging everybody in this manner upon what you gave? Verse 36, I was naked and you clothed me. I was sick and you visited me. I was in prison and you came unto me. You went to the hospital. You went to the prison. You had a prison ministry, hospital ministry. You looked out for those who were without. This is what he's doing for the sheep. Then shall the righteous, who are the sheep, answer him, saying, Yahuwah, when saw we thee hungry and fed thee, or thirsty and gave you drink? When saw we thee a stranger and looked thee in, or naked and clothed thee? Or when saw we thee sick or in prison, or came unto thee? And the king shall answer and say unto them, Verily I say unto you, inasmuch as you have done it unto one of the least of these, my brethren, you have done it to me. Then it goes on to talk about the goats, how they turned their backs on those that were in need. Those that were in the hospital, they didn't visit. They didn't go see it. They were sick. They didn't check on them. And they were the goats, and they were cast out, and they didn't get the blessing. So now you see the importance of what's going on in Tobit. And this is way before Christ gave this parable of the coming judgment in what they call the New Testament. Do you see? Do you see this? The emphasis on alms is about your blessings, your deliverance, your necessities, you being taken care of, you being delivered from death. You become an object that the Most High can utilize in the earth, because then there are people who are having their prayers answered. And when you see Ecclesiasticus, the 12th chapter, it says very clearly, verse 4, give to the godly man and help not a sinner. Verse 2, do good to the godly man, and thou shalt find a recompense, and if not from him, yet from the Most High. Verse 5, do well unto him that is lowly, but give not to the ungodly. Hold back thy bread and give it not unto him, lest he overmaster thee, and thereby, for else thou shalt receive twice as much evil for all the good thou shalt have done unto him. This is why we don't do all charitable work and bless these wicked 501c3 organizations that believe in these alternative lifestyles. Why? Because verse 6 says, for the Most High hates sinners. Oh, he hates the sin, but he loved the sinner. For the Most High hateth sinners. The Most High hates people who break Torah, commandments, and laws. The Most High does not love these people that are habitually living these alternative lifestyles. He doesn't love them. They got churches and everything. I wouldn't even walk up in one of them churches. That place crumbled. Ecclesiasticus, known as Sirach, chapter 12, verse 6. For the Most High hateth sinners, and will repay vengeance unto the ungodly, and keepeth them against the mighty day of their punishment. Give unto the good, and help not the sinner. A friend cannot be known in prosperity, and an enemy cannot be hidden in adversity. In the prosperity of a man, enemies will be grieved, but in his adversity, even a friend will depart. Verse 10, never trust thine enemy. So the emphasis is on the fact that we're supposed to give to those who are humble heart, who are godly, might be in dire straits. You know who they are, but it says, don't be blessing these sinners who live in this world, who are of this world. You don't walk up to somebody who got a crack pipe in their mouth and there's a bunch of drink right there on the side. Tell them, let me get $2 more. I've had some of them almost cuss me out. They don't even ask. Let me get some money. They're high. They're under the auspices of demons. They're not even here. Those are demons asking for you to give them money to continue getting high. You know what a demon lives inside of a body? It doesn't want to get shot or killed immediately because it wants to utilize that body to fill its hunger, lust, and insatiableness. And then when it's tired of it, it wants to make sure it has some other body to go into, because they don't want to be without a body. That's why you see people in such wretched conditions when they're in tenderloin areas, deprived areas, drug addict areas, because they're going to milk that body till they can't milk it no more. Because those demons, just like the man who had the legion, they don't want to be bodiless. That's why they said, cast us into the swine. They don't want to linger here and not be able to fulfill their insatiableness. You found it. Good job. Thank you. That was good. It's ministry. It's alms. Get the Christian mindset out of your head. Every time you walk out that door, be ready to bless, give. And every week, every month, you should be going to take care of the elderly, take care of the widows, take care of the babies who don't have the parents. Look out for people, clothe people. These things you're doing unto Abba Yah. And that's what you're going to be judged on. What should you be doing instead of waiting for the world to end, or World War III to start, or for the Antichrist to be revealed, or for the presidency? You shouldn't even be focusing on that. You should be giving your behind off and helping people who need help with what you have. Alms. Out of the book of Tobit all the way to the book of Matthew, from the mouth of our Savior, and Ecclesiasticus. All right, I'm going to shut it down. I didn't even plan to go that long. The beautiful short obstacle of truth is to think that you already have it, because truth is a journey and not a destination. Shabbat Shalom. Continue to get your rest. May the Most High bless your week.